Have you ever wondered what lies beneath the waves in the mysterious, silent world of the deep blue sea? Imagine a kingdom of shimmering castles and gardens of coral, where merfolk with glistening tails swim through sun-dappled waters. This is where our story begins, with a very special princess, the youngest and most beautiful of the Sea King's daughters. We know her as the Little Mermaid. She had a voice that could enchant every creature in the ocean, a voice as pure and clear as a crystal spring. But while her sisters decorated their gardens with treasures from sunken ships, our Little Mermaid had only one statue, a handsome marble boy she had found. It was a symbol of her deepest, most secret desire to see the world above, the world of humans. She would listen for hours to her grandmother's stories of cities, mountains, and people who walked on two strange things called legs. Her heart ached with a longing she couldn't explain, a pull towards a world she had never seen. But she counted the days, the hours, the minutes, until her 15th birthday, the day she would finally be allowed to rise to the surface and see it all for herself. Finally, the day arrived. With a flick of her powerful tail, she swam upwards, bursting through the surface into the golden light of the setting sun. The air was fresh, the sky was a canvas of orange and pink, and there, floating on the gentle waves, was the most magnificent thing she had ever seen, a grand ship with 3 masts. Music and laughter drifted across the water. On the deck, she saw him a handsome young prince celebrating his birthday. His dark eyes sparkled, and his smile lit up the evening. The Little Mermaid was instantly captivated. She couldn't take her eyes off him. She felt a connection, a pull stronger than any ocean current. She watched for hours, her heart fluttering like a trapped bird, as the prince and his crew celebrated under a sky full of exploding fireworks. But the ocean is as unpredictable as it is beautiful. Without warning, the sky turned black. A furious storm descended upon the ship. The wind howled, and colossal waves crashed over the deck, snapping the masts like twigs. The grand vessel was torn apart and began to sink into the dark, churning depths. Panic erupted, but amidst the chaos, the Little Mermaid had eyes only for the prince, who was thrown into the violent sea. Without a second thought, she dove into the heart of the storm. Her only goal was to save him. She fought against the raging waves, found him unconscious in the water, and held his head above the surface. All through the night, she swam, cradling him, protecting him from the sea that was now his enemy. As dawn broke, she finally brought him to a sandy shore near a beautiful white temple. She gently laid him on the warm sand just out of the water's reach and kissed his forehead. He was still unconscious, but he was alive. Just as she heard voices coming from the temple, she quickly hid behind a large rock. A young woman and her companions came out and found the prince. When he awoke, dazed and confused, the first face he saw was hers. He smiled, believing this stranger was his savior. The Little Mermaid's heart shattered into a million pieces. She had saved him, but he would never know. He would give his thanks, and maybe even his heart, to another. With a sorrow deeper than the ocean itself, she swam back to her father's castle, leaving a piece of her soul behind on that human shore. Back in her underwater home, everything felt dull and grey. The vibrant coral gardens and her beautiful voice brought her no joy. She could only think of the prince. She confided in her sisters, and together they found the prince's castle. Night after night, she would swim to the shore and watch him, her love growing with every passing day. She longed to be with him, to talk to him, to walk by his side. This longing became an obsession, driving her to a desperate decision. She knew there was only one person who could help her, one person with the dark magic to grant her impossible wish, the fearsome sea witch. So she journeyed to the most dangerous part of the ocean, a terrifying place of bubbling mud and grasping polyps, to the lair of the witch. "I know what you want," the sea witch hissed, her voice like grinding stones. "You want to trade your tail for legs to win the human prince." The price was terrifying. The witch would give her a potion to transform her, but in exchange, the mermaid had to give up her most precious possession, her beautiful voice. The witch would cut out her tongue, leaving her mute forever. And the transformation would be agony. Every step she took on her new legs would feel like walking on the sharpest knives. But the worst part of the bargain was the condition. If she could win the prince's true love and he married her, she would gain an immortal human soul. But if he married another, her heart would break, and at the dawn of his wedding day, she would dissolve into sea foam, lost forever. Despite the horrifying terms, her love for the prince was so strong that she agreed. She drank the dreadful potion, and a pain like a sword piercing her body made her faint. When she awoke, she was on the beach, her beautiful fishtail gone, replaced by 2 slender human legs. And just as she had hoped, the prince himself found her. He was mesmerized by her beauty and her graceful, silent presence. He took her back to his palace, where she was dressed in the finest silks. Though every step was torture, she danced for him, a dance so graceful and light that everyone was enchanted. The prince grew incredibly fond of her. He called her his little foundling and let her sleep on a velvet cushion outside his door. He loved her as one would love a dear child, but his heart belonged to another, the girl from the temple he believed had saved his life. One day, the prince's parents announced that he must marry a princess from a neighboring kingdom. The prince was distraught, telling the mermaid that he could never love this stranger because his heart was already given. But when he went to meet the princess, his world turned upside down. She was the very same girl from the temple. Overjoyed, the prince declared his love for her, and a grand wedding was planned. The Little Mermaid's world collapsed. The witch's words echoed in her mind. She was doomed. On the wedding ship, as the prince and his new bride celebrated, her heart felt heavy as stone. She stared at the waves, knowing that soon she would become one with them. As the first light of dawn approached, her sisters rose from the sea. Their beautiful long hair was gone. They had sacrificed it to the sea witch in exchange for a way to save her. They held out a magic knife. "Plunge this into the prince's heart before the sun rises," they cried. "Let his blood touch your feet, and they will transform back into a tail. You can come back to us and live." The Little Mermaid took the knife and crept into the tent where the prince and his bride were sleeping. She looked at his peaceful face, the face she loved more than her own life, and she couldn't do it. Her love was too pure, too selfless. She threw the knife into the ocean and, with a final, loving look at the prince, she jumped into the waves, ready to become foam. But she didn't dissolve. Instead, she felt herself rising out of the water, not as foam, but as something light and ethereal. She saw other beautiful, transparent beings around her. "Who are you?" she asked, and to her astonishment, she had her voice back. "We are the daughters of the air," they replied. "A mermaid who has striven with all her heart, as you have, can earn an immortal soul, not through the love of a human, but through good deeds." She had made the ultimate sacrifice for love, and for that, she was given a new life. She could now fly unseen around the world, bringing comfort to those in need and joy to children. She had lost the prince, but she had found something even greater, a chance to earn her own immortal soul through kindness and compassion. And so the Little Mermaid became a whisper on the wind, a symbol of selfless love, forever watching over the world she had once longed to join. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey under the sea and into the sky. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.